Television viewers only get to know the talent that go in front of the camera. The people working behind the lens are just as important and just as talented. Former WPVI production crew member Steve Sachs started in television in the summer of 1956. He was in the mailroom for WRCV-TV, which is today KYW-TV. In 1961, Steve moved to WFIL's business office and worked in accounts receivable. His duties included delivering paychecks to the whole building and calling deadbeats to pay for their commercials that ran, and so much more. This led Steve to Triangle Film Division, where he had to censor and cue movies and cartoons for WFIL-TV and Triangle's other 5 stations. In 1964, Steve became part of the WFIL-TV Channel 6 production crew. Steve had to build sets, strike sets, use studio and remote cameras, set lighting, and place microphones on talent and throughout the set. Though not seen on camera, Steve was able to meet a lot of interesting people during his half-century of service to the industry. He met every president from Nixon to Obama and athletes from Chuck Bednarik to Muhammad Ali. Steve worked on a variety of local programs from Captain Noah to AM Philadelphia and much more. You may not know it, but Steve was a guest at Frank Sinatra's wedding to Ava Gardner. Why? Because the wedding was held at Sachs' home. Now it's time for Steve to step out from behind the camera and onto the stage. Welcome Steve Sachs into the Broadcast Pioneers Hall of Fame.
I had all sorts of things prepared, but I didn't expect all this. Anyway, what can I say? People ask me what it's like to have worked at Channel 6 and to work with Larry and Jim and Cecily and so many others, and Walter. They were all great to work with. They're all professionals, and I'm honored to be up here to go into the Hall of Fame. I have to give special thanks to my wife, Peggy, for all she had to put up with, receiving late-night phone calls, change of schedules, lost weekends, my father, Lester, my uncle, Manny, and my cousin, Herman Rush, for showing me how interesting the entertainment business can be. Also, thanks to Lou Klein for promoting me to the crew, my mentor, my professor, and a friend, and to Terry Belford for being a good friend, boss, and trusting my judgment in production matters. 44 years I worked at 6ABC, or WFIL, as it was called, in 1961. I was hired by Roger Klipp, then head of broadcast division for Triangle Broadcasting, a subsidiary of Triangle Publications, the media giant owned by Walter Annenberg. I had just been released from the active duty station of Fort Knox. Unfortunately, I did not leave with any of the gold and needed a job. A family friend, Ike Levy, knowing my interest in TV production, recommended I try WFIL TV. It was the best advice I have ever received. It opened the doors to many amazing adventure that is bringing wonderful memories to this day. I can still remember that the first day when I arrived at 46 on Market Street. I'd been hired to work, and this was in the video. I didn't know it was going to be in the video. I had been hired to work in the accounts receivable department of the business office. When I arrived, they told me to sit in this big wooden desk and refresh my thoughts by reading the account manager's handbook. Then be prepared to go to the staff luncheon at the Maryland Hotel around 12. Wow, I thought. I have no idea what I'm doing, and already I'm a manager in charge of God knows what. Well, I soon found out I was in charge of billing, handing out paychecks, and collecting bad debts from deadbeat clients for AM, FM, radio, and TV. I had to call the delinquent business to find out where is the money and then report back the error excuses to the office manager. The good side of the job was I learned a lot about the business and got to know all the people and departments by delivering the paychecks on Fridays. Especially fun was going into the bandstand offices and giving Charlie O'Donnell and Dick Clark their paychecks. And that was a lot of fun because I got to get to a lot of different events. From the business office, I was transferred to Triangle's Division Film Department as Practices and Standards Previewer. Censorship is a never-changing climate, but in those days I received a sheet containing a list that had all the recently released feature films on it called the National Legion of Decency. I must admit I very rarely used it and was rarely questioned on my judgment. For your information, I use the NAB code, which in part advised against nudity, stereotyping of characters, cruelty to animals, and common sense. Finally, in 1964, I got promoted to the production crew, the job I wanted in the first place. There I became a pioneer in a teenage industry. It hasn't stopped. Creative juices that are instilled in all of us in the production field to create and achieve an idea of blending language, music, acting, and technical achievement into a wonderful story and presenting it to the viewer. Being a member of the 6ABC team also offered me the opportunity to be a voyeur to some wonderful events in Philadelphia history. Taking Nixon after he was president into the Sally Star Show as I was walking him out of the building after an interview he had done. Working with Joan Crawford and getting a personal thank you note. I might add the whole crew got personal thank you notes from her, signed by her. On stage with Al Ortiz for the final act of Live Aid with Tina Turner and Mick Jagger. That was a thrill. Being part of the team that went from the basement of TV news to the 6ABC Action News powerhouse that it is today. Yes, all of what I mentioned was exciting and the very tip of the iceberg, made possible because of all the other creative pioneers I met along the way. Finally, to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia, thank you so much for this honor, and to the crazy crew and engineers. We worked as a team, and to many others, thanks for the memories that brought me here today. Thank you very much.
Go ahead. I want to tell you that Steve was around for two seminal moments in my life. First of all, I'd met a young lady at the station. Her name was Donna Jarrett, and he said to me, "You can go very far with that woman." What he didn't know was I already had. And we got married 6 months later, and we're about to celebrate our 50th anniversary. And the second time, and who can forget this, I was anchoring on a Sunday night, and only a few of you will remember, but there was a guy who owned an appliance store named Mort Farr.
Yep.
And he came on the set and did live commercials. And he actually poured some detergent into a washer. And the washer exploded into foam throughout the studio. And Steve said to me, "Go to break." And that was the best advice he ever gave me. Thank you, Steve.
It was great working with you, Larry. Just great.